Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a great weekend, and thank you once again for joining us for our daily English news edition. As usual, I'm Daniel Cook, your host, presenting a translated version of the news Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. The Minister of Justice, Nasip Nacho, unexpectedly resigned from his post today. Mr. Nacho has not yet commented on the resignation, but it has been learned that he presented a letter to Prime Minister Rama explaining his reasons. Meanwhile, Ora News sources have confirmed that Ylli Manjani will be the new Minister of Justice. This was later confirmed by the Prime Minister's office as well. In a media pronouncement, Mr. Manjani expressed that he is ready to take on this new duty. He confirmed that the Ministry of Justice will remain with the Socialist Movement for Integration. An announcement from the Prime Minister's office says that the Prime Minister thanks Mr. Manjani for his readiness to do the duty with responsibility, and that he sent the proposal to the President for him to decree Ylli Manjani as the Minister of Justice. The head of the SMI, Ylli Manjani, said that he respects Mr. Nacho's decision, saying that it was the responsible thing to do. He said, "I have to appreciate the resignation of the Minister of Justice as a responsible act of citizenship. He has given his contribution during his time, and now with his choice, he is contributing to the achievement of a long-sought cooperation for the justice reform," said Mr. Mehta. Prime Minister Rama promised today that there will not be a tax increase for the Albanian people. He made the following statements today concerning the government's agreement with the IMF. There will not be a tax increase for the Albanian citizens. The presentation of our negotiations with the International Monetary Fund will be tomorrow, but preceding that, I want to highlight two aspects. First, there will be no tax increase, which confirms that everything that has been said about the decrease of revenue is wrong. According to an agreement signed with the Albanian government, the IMF is unhappy about three indicators: the state revenue, the budget deficit, and the economic increase. In these conditions, the only option for the Albanian government is to cut its expenditures, not including public investments. In May, the IMF mission left the country without reviewing the agreement because of the level of deficit, which reached 11 billion lek in the first 5 months of the year. As a consequence, the International Monetary Fund blocked the next tranche of Albania's 26 million euro loan. If an increase of taxes is not an option, the government only has two others. First, increasing the revenue by improvements to administration, which they hope to achieve through their operation against informality. The second option is cutting expenditures, which may be a less painful intervention for the economy since the administration's salaries have not increased for 3 years. Albania's economic experts are not entirely happy about the issuing of the new Eurobond, worth 450 million euro with an interest rate of 5.75%. Comparing it to the first Eurobond issued in 2010, they say that foreign investors will still view Albania as a country of high risk. The experts believe that the government will use the new Eurobond to repay the loan for the first and to repay old debts. They advise the government to be careful with expenditures that do not bring benefits. Faced with its weakness in revenue collection and the public debt, which exceeded 73.7% in September of this year, the government should be careful with the way it uses the remainder of the money after repaying the 250 million euro loan guaranteed by the World Bank for the first Eurobond. Despite the rejection of the stakeholders, the government has already begun to discuss its new property law. The bill was presented at the Economic Commission today, where it was rejected by the opposition. More specifically, the opposition MPs were against the formula for compensating property owners, which would decrease the value of the property. On the other side, the government claims that it will solve the property issues for 10 years. Some property owners have sued the state in the court of Strasbourg, and some have even managed to win. But the amount of money the state must pay to compensate these property owners is too high, reaching into the billions of euro, and would send the state into bankruptcy. Present at the commission, the chairwoman of the Agency for the Compensation of Properties pointed out that the process is too slow, and that so far, only 16 hectares of land have been compensated out of 74,000. The return and compensation of properties is a process that has not been resolved for 2 decades. The Foreign Commission held a hearing today with the German Ambassador Hoffmann, who commented on some important issues for Albania. Mr. Hoffmann declared that the relations between Albania and Germany are excellent, and he expressed his country's commitment to further cooperation. He said that Germany is in 5th place in foreign investments in Albania, and that corruption is the primary obstacle for further investment. He said, "Germany is ranked in the 5th place in investments in Albania. We should do more to increase investments and to establish the rule of law. Corruption is the main problem for foreign investments, and the judicial reform is very important." The German ambassador spoke again about the high number of asylum seekers in Germany, saying that the asylum seeker issue should be left out of political debates. He went on, "The asylum seekers should understand that Germany does not offer them economic asylum because they come from a safe country of origin. There is an increase of the number of asylum seekers this year, although the number did decrease in October. They come from all around Albania. Some of them even had good jobs in Albania, so the economy is not the reason for some of them. They just want to leave the country. In the beginning, the asylum seekers were received very generously. We gave them money. My advice is that the asylum seeker issue needs to be left out of political debates, and the reasons that drive the citizens to go looking for asylum should be found out." The ambassador said that Germany supports Albania's integration, but that the harsh language of accusations does not help in this process. He continued, "This week we are waiting for the progress report. Germany supports Albania's integration. You should follow the priorities that have been requested. The justice reform is crucial, and the experts who assisted in the reform are very good. We will not content ourselves with changes that are only technical. Their implementation is very important to us. Corruption in the justice system is a problem and needs to be fought," said Mr. Hoffmann. He added that there is no date for the opening of the negotiations and encouraged Albania to continue with the reforms. Kosovo has been denied membership in UNESCO after failing to receive the necessary votes from the countries present at the General Assembly. Kosovo's request received 92 votes in favor, 50 against, and 29 abstaining. They were short only 3 votes, as 95 would have secured their membership in UNESCO. Kosovo's Foreign Minister Hasim Thaçi said afterward that despite this outcome, Kosovo will continue on its path toward memberships in the international organizations, including UNESCO. He said, "Most of the states voted in favor of Kosovo. Unfortunately, we did not get the necessary majority we needed. For 10 months, our friends and ourselves have given the maximum. We will continue with our efforts to join other organizations as well, including UNESCO," wrote the foreign minister on his Facebook account. The National Agency of Environment has published its findings on the pollution in the Dorost coastline. The director has declared that the situation is very alarming and called the citizens to avoid contact with the polluted water. He said, "From the results of the analysis, we deem that the pollution level is too high and alarming for the health of the citizens and the environment. For this reason, the citizens must avoid contact with the water until the polluted area is rehabilitated." The agency laboratory concluded that the oil product in the water was higher than the permissible norms and presents a safety risk. The environmental agency announced that more testing will be done and that the citizens will be notified as soon as the area is deemed safe. Thanks again for choosing Aura News as your source for English updates. Please join us again at the same time tomorrow. Thanks, and have a great night.